You're missing a very cozy meeting, Colleen.
No, I'm not, because I get everybody sick.
All right, we're alive.
Okay.
Julie, you can come in and sit down if you want. There's 4 chairs. Do you want to pull a chair into the doorway and sit?
I'll make room.
No. Really, I'm good.
All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Over there. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So first item on the agenda is the emergency response plan hearing. So I'll turn it over to Dana.
I guess so.
There we go.
Yes. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to take a look at this plan. This is the plan that's the public gets to see. The building plans are, they remain private and they're a little more detailed than the district plan. Really, the district plan it gives an overview as to what needs to be covered. And you look at the table of context, it really just talks about the things in terms of prevention, intervention, response, how to set up a command center, what do you do after the fact. It also talks about, in essence, the purpose of the plan, the process that we have to go through. This is part of that process in terms of the public comment period before the board gets to vote on it. The various initiatives, it highlights the things that the buildings have to do training wise, drills, exercises. That's also part of the building code enforcement, where we have to do 12 exercises a year, 8 before the first of the year, basically December, where a number of them have to be out of the building, and a number of them have to be lockdowns or shelter in places, things like that. Those details are found at the building levels. This plan just does a nice overview as to what the expectations are. On page 6, it really highlights what the school security is all about in terms of the expectations. All exterior doors remaining locked during the day, a single main entrance, reporting to the office when someone comes in as a visitor, cameras throughout, inside and out. And one of the things in terms of what we've done over the last year, we have installed additional exterior cameras at both buildings, as well as we are installing additional swipe access to give the staff additional entry points with their ID badge. That way, if they wanted to bring the kids out, they don't feel like they have to go through only one of the 2 main entrances. So we're adding 3 at the middle high, and I think probably 3 more, 3 at the elementary as well. But there's always a holdup right now in terms of materials. So the additional exterior cameras have been installed. They're active. We've even gone so far as put a camera in the staff parking lot to cover that as well. We switched some cameras out front so that they actually can see the front of the building. Or it was kind enough to allow us to mount them on some of their new poles and tap into their electricity so that we have a nice view vantage point. So at this point, I would say that both buildings, there's very little that can't be seen from cameras on the outside as well as on the inside. I think at this point, we are probably sitting at about close to 80 cameras. When I first started in the district, we probably had 12, and they were all outside and they weren't very good. So the investments we've made over probably the last 5-6 years.
What was the, sorry, just to ask the question. What was the what's your like hopeful timeline for the additional access points for the swipe?
I wish I could give you an answer. It's as
Just
soon as
waiting.
Lynn start, yeah, so they have the infrastructure in, so they were able to do that before the start of the school, run all the lines and everything that. They're really just waiting on the swipers themselves. So they're backed up on that. So they couldn't give me an ETA in terms of those swipers.
Gotcha.
They said originally they were probably going to be in early fall, but when I heard from Lynn Starr just the other day, they're backed up even more than what they initially
Gotcha.
intended. So at this point, when they come in, they'll install them maybe for winter time.
Great.
Before Pisha games.
That'll be great.
So then the plan goes on and it highlights the various organizations, outside organizations that we do tap into, whether it's the local police departments or the state police or the DEC as well. It highlights in terms of basically evacuation, sheltering, the district supports for each building if there was ever an incident in one of the buildings and what role they at the district level plays. And then we went through and just made some changes in terms of staffing is really what it comes down to. This plan is very similar to the way it was last year because there were no real changes other than updating staff wise. The state has not required us to make any changes in the plan itself. One thing that did come out recently was that we are required, districts are required to think about installing panic buttons in all classrooms. That's in essence what came out of the most recent law probably a couple months ago. So I'm still waiting on a quote from one of the vendors on that one in terms of just pricing that out, installing panic buttons in classrooms.
That's Alyssa's law.
Yes.
Discussed in July.
Yeah.
And with community schools opening the buildings more, those will be on all the time then too? You know what I mean? Like people are in and out of the building more often during the evenings. Well, we have those cameras will be on.
Oh yeah, the cameras are
They're
on.
always on. the
Yeah,
entire
always
day.
on, 24/7. There's a number of staff members that have
So-
access to the
Okay,
cameras. I
okay.
mean, we can pull them up on our phones at this point.
Okay.
So
That's
yeah,
what I thought, but I wasn't.
yeah, I think we have like a 30-day in terms of
Terms of
storage and all
storage,
that.
okay.
Yes.
Good.
I just saw the
Yeah.
name. and I was like,
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
never off unless the power goes off or.
Yeah.
So, questions on the district plan? All right.
Thanks for all that work.
Well, that was Karen.
That's why I didn't assign. a
We
name to
review
that. I
the
was just
plan,
throwing the things
but
out there.
in terms of printing it all out and getting it out to the administrators so they can review it at their level. And that's what they're doing right now. They're reviewing their individual plans, bringing together their building committees to review. And again, nothing of substance has changed in the formatting or what needs to be covered. So it's just more about updating staffing and all that and going forward from there.
All right, any other questions,
Comments from the audience?
comments? All right, moving on to the consent agenda.
Okay, so I just put the hearing is closed at 6:40 p.m.
Oh, great, thanks.
Yep.
The recommended action to approve the items below, which are included in the consent agenda: 5A minutes, 7A sports merger approvals, and 7C safety plan approval. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Joan.
Yes.
Thank you, Colleen.
Any removals?
Do I have anything? All right, please vote. Okay, so that brings, oh, sorry.
So we have 5 yes.
Thank you, everyone. That brings us to for the good of the cause, public may address the board. Do we have any emails?
We do not.
Would anyone present like to speak?
Sure, I'll speak again.
All right, thank you, Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie Lawrence. Does anybody have any questions from about the last statement I made? Or anything they'd like more information on? Here's what I'd like to say tonight. I would like to further express my concerns on possible solutions regarding multiple issues at Lake Placid Middle High School. I've expanded my concerns to include the high school as it is apparent the same issues are now occurring there. I continue to raise these concerns to you here at public board meetings because 9 years of attempts to make improvements for our students through chain of command have proven quite useless. Chain of command appears to be the place where parent and student voices go to be snuffed out. It is my hope that by continuing to speak up about these issues, other parents will feel more comfortable to do the same. Every single one of the students in this district have experienced significant trauma over the past few years as a result of the global pandemic. It is more important than ever that new methods of discipline be explored that come from a trauma-informed perspective. I am requesting that district implement a standardized disciplinary system known as conscious discipline, and I've provided a link. I think I emailed it, and I will double check that I will email it to all of the board members as well. As this evidence-based program notes, quote, adults' ability to self-regulate is the precursor to teaching children social emotional skills, end quote. Basically, if we want the students to be able to self-regulate, the adults must model it first. Verbal abuse of students through shame, intimidation, and threats must be ended, and the allowance of such discipline, quote unquote, needs to be removed from the school district policies where it's still allowed. Further, failing educational standards are incredibly concerning. I would encourage board and community members to research how students fared on last year's state testing. Last year's 8th grade, not a single student passed the state math exam. It's graded on a scale of 1 to 4. 3 and 4 are considered passing. There were no students at 3 or 4, and 76% were 1, the worst, the same as just writing your name on the paper. Last year's 7th grade was not much better, 91% failed. No one got a 4. Last year's 6th graders were only slightly better, 86% failed. No one got a 4. This is just a bit of the data available, and it's shocking. Finally, I'm requesting that the board update their policies regarding conflicts of interest. Currently, they primarily focus on board members not being allowed to profit financially off of school contracts. I would like to see new policies implemented to address exactly how the board is preventing conflicts of interest when board members are married to or living with school employees. Your staff needs to know exactly how you are handling such situations. At the very least, board members should be required to recuse themselves from issues involving their spouses. It is the ethical thing to do, and I am not willing to accept, take my word for it, that these steps are being taken. It needs to be policy. And I assume no one has any questions about any of that either.
Thank you, Julie. I will just say that we do have a policy for conflicts of interest. So for example, my wife works in the school, so I'm not allowed to be even present for any discussions that involve even the union that she belongs to or anything like that.
Is that in the policy? Because I'm reading it, not finding it.
It's in the law.
It's in the law.
Yeah.
Can we also include it in our policy? Because it's really just so much about financial stuff and we all get that. This is really important and your staff doesn't seem to know where that lies or how you're handling it. And several of them have reached out to me.
I
So
don't,
maybe something to consider.
I think we can, if they have questions, they should absolutely ask.
Well, I guess some of them are asking for me and I'm a parent and I've been very involved and do a lot of things for this district. So I feel just like the littlest bit of respect here might be deserved. Because these are some really concerning issues.
I do think that we are respecting you, Julie. Thank you. We are hearing you on your
Wonderful.
concerns.
Right.
And I just wanted to give you that feedback.
So there's state law for that. Great. Anything else?
I'm just wondering, as a former employee, do they have the opportunity to speak to a union member if there's concern?
I assume they do, and I have been told that they do. Yes. that is fair.
Okay, and that's
Of course.
addressed then.
I mean, again, I'm not a staff member. I'm here as a
Right, I'm no
parent.
longer a staff member
Yeah.
either, so I don't know, but
I
that
assume.
always was something that was comforting to me.
Yes, I would assume.
that- Yeah, and please tell your,
Yeah.
the people that they really need to speak to that,
Sure.
because that would be the happy medium.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anything
absolutely.
about how our kids are treated or the discipline, anything? Because I don't think there's any sort of like formal policy in place regarding discipline, and it seems like maybe we need one.
There's a student code of conduct.
Yeah,
There's a discipline matrix.
Yeah. there's a
Um,
matrix, right? but there's still wording in your code of conduct that allows them to verbally abuse our children and bully them. So it needs to be updated and it needs to be enforced because they sure seem to be enforcing the discipline about the kids and their code of conduct.
Okay, yeah, well, we will check out the link that you sent. What was the name of the,
I will
say
send it
that
to all
one more
of
time?
you.
I put it in the, I didn't receive it.
Oh, I emailed you the statement, but I'll email.
You did?
Yes.
Since you've been sitting here?
No, like 5 o'clock maybe.
Oh, because I didn't, oh, you know, you probably sent it to.
And that's why I decided to swing by because I was here
Oh,
in Wilmington anyway. So I thought
so I apologize because I looked in the LP district clerk email and not my own. So yes, I do have it and I will share it with the board.
can you just say that one more time? So,
Conscious discipline.
Conscious discipline.
Basically, you know, it's how we should healthily be disciplining our children.
great,
Not
thank you.
dragging them into rooms and going, you know what you're here for.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie.
All right, anyone else would like to speak?
Anyone?
Great, thank you very much, everyone. Moving on to the operations report. Dana.
Well, I figured this report would be a report with visuals. More so, yes. So what I did was I had Karen put in, so you'll see we've ordered flags to go along with our new mission statements and our new keywords, the empowered, united, engaged. So we are looking to put these feather flags at both buildings to highlight our keywords. I think there's even one that says home of the Blue Bombers. Oh, you know what's not on here? Was the signs.
Oh, with the new mission statement.
Yes. So
I
so
didn't see them.
we have 10 flags coming for the middle high. Originally, we were looking to put them on the exterior walls of the gym where there used to be flags, but the vendor raised some concern about feather flags being on there and staying up.
Hmm.
So we're going with them on stands so that they're kind of mobile. We were going to do that at the elementary anyway, so that they could be moved around. And what I could see is they could be at the rear main entrance and then on the other side of the gym. And then if there's an occasion in the front, graduation or something like that, we can move that as well to highlight our strategic words going forward for the next 5 years. I've also included 2 pictures of the new playground fence that was just installed at the elementary school. So that was one of those things where we had the vendor come in June and they just installed it end of September. But that's just the reality of it is, but I wanted to just kind of give you a couple pictures there. If you hadn't had a chance to drive by the school to see that, it's really just a nice safety measure. There's multiple entry points, none of it's locked. So it's not like on the weekends, people can't go in and use it. It's just more about that recess time and all that as the kids are running around. It's an added elements, safety elements. Another thing I thought I included, but I apparently did not, I had some pictures. We are, with the new mission statements, we're going about to add new signage. So just, there's a sign just past the admin building, that corner where the new garden is. This probably was put in there at the last capital project. So it needs to get updated just because it's starting to peel. So we are replacing that. It's going to have our new mission statements. We're adding 2 new signs to indicate the gymnasium on both sides, just kind of that, when the visitors come, they have an understanding as to where they can come, enter into the building as well. We're also going to put up a transportation department sign. It's one of those driveways where you can easily miss it if you're trying to get to the transportation department. So thought it would be a good idea to put a sign up there right outside the road to indicate that is a transportation department for the school system. So we're in the process of. We're also going to be in the process of updating our mission statements throughout both buildings. They are displayed on walls. There's one in the boardroom, the admin building. There's a couple in middle high, and there was some in elementary. So we'll be in the process of replacing those and putting our new mission statement out. So that's a visual for everyone to see. One last thing. Colleen.
No, I was just going to say that the elementary fence looks awesome, and it must be just so much easier for the TAs that go out in the playground, off and on throughout the day, to know that the children are, safely contained and not wandering off into the woods on the backside of the playground area.
Although, Colleen, I have to say that there was a parent who was taken back by that. And I said, I did take a double take, like, oh, well, it's a new day and age. She was concerned because it was mostly for special ed kids. And then after thinking about it, our safety and keeping kids in an area it will help the TAs. You're right.
And in most situations, in different entities in New York State, you're required to have a fenced in area. So the fact that we never did, could be something that maybe was just an oversight. I think it's a huge credit to the school to have it. And it's much easier than missing Johnny or Susie, who might have run over the side of the hill onto the little trail system. So I think it's great. And I think it's just a wonderful addition. It looks awesome. It matches the playground. And I think it's a huge plus.
Great. One last item in terms of operations reports is we are exploring the possibility of adding a new SUV. As you know, we do have several students that are being transported out of the district on a daily basis. We currently have a Suburban with well over 100,000 miles on it. Granted, the transmission was replaced 4 years ago. So the actual mileage on the current transmission isn't 130,000, but it is still nonetheless, up there. So I might be coming to you in the short future about the purchase. Right now, I have a bid out to through New York State OGS, Office of Government Services. We can run mini bids through there rather than posting it to the paper for a Ford Expedition counterpart of the Suburban. So I think it's a needed purchase because of the fact that we have several students being transported, and they are relatively young, and this could be something that's going to be ongoing for several years, and we don't want to be caught in a predicament because one of our vehicles breaks down in an untimely manner. So just to give you a heads up on that going forward. It's about $82,000, by the way.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Dana? Operations report. I will just add that the new additions to the Lake Placid Elementary School playground are EV approved. So she told me the other day this is her favorite playground. So right, Evie?
I heard it right.
Great. Thank you very much, Dana. Okay, superintendent's report.
All right. So since this meeting is taking place in Wilmington, I only feel it appropriate to start with the news that we were able to resolve our Wilmington night shuttle and sports shuttle effective today. So thank you to our transportation team and our drivers for picking up the additional runs to provide that valuable opportunity for our students. There's been a lot going on and a lot happening and to anticipate in the days to come. Even just today, anecdotally, we had students from the elementary and the middle high school grades 4 through 7 participating in a TikTok dance on the oval with Mac the Moose. And they all had color-coded shirts for different grade levels. And the TikTok will be released tonight. And this video will be a part of the launch of the VSU Games. They practiced the dance over the course of several weeks. So while that was going on, we had almost 90 students in Washington, D.C. at the same time. At this moment, those students are at the Kennedy Center and they are watching Hamilton. So it's fantastic. And we have our 8th and 9th grade students there this year to make up for the one one of the two classes that has missed out on the trip due to the pandemic. We also have almost 25 staff members that are in attendance, which is wonderful that they're able to have that time with the students and team bonding time as staff as well. So just pretty exceptional when we think about the opportunities for our kids. Even locally, we have students climbing Mount Seymour in 3rd grade this week. Last week, we had the 4th grade climbing Mount Joe at the Adirondack Lodge. The pictures online are outstanding. Just really nice utilization of the resources that we have around us. And then looking forward at the elementary school, there's a lot of fun coming down the pike. Our 3rd grade is going to go to the post office on the 6th. Our kindergarten staff and students will go on an annual favorite, which is the trip to Tucker Farms, for adorable pictures with pumpkins and the like. It's a perennial favorite. We have the book fair. So get your decoder pens and invisible ink ready for the 17th through the 20th. That'll take place at the elementary school library. And then the other big event is our community school coordinator, Keith Clark, is working on amplifying the Halloween parade and working to bring it back to Main Street and have greater partnership with the Business Association and St. Agnes and the Village and State Police, but also to have the parade end at the Oval and have our middle high school students work in tandem with each class to do a different craft with the students at the elementary school. So really nice K-12 crossover and community partnership there at the elementary school. It is, just pulling up here, Anti-Bullying Month. I know the board will be considering adopting a proclamation to explicitly state the district's policy in fighting against bullying. But this takes place at our elementary school through a variety of programs as well. Our students at the elementary school over the past 2 months have been creating a rainbow paper chain, and they start with the color red. They create a chain based around the ideas of respect in September and then self-control in October. And the paper chain started in the main office and is extended long through the hall. And even the shape of the chain and the different shapes on the chain are different, and they are meant to be different because the students, when they cut them, add them on, and it is explicitly stated that this is a way that we begin to talk about diversity with students and you know, having that opportunity to see the value that everyone brings in different ways. So this education starts at a young age. We have wellness workshops with Mrs. Brown, Deanna Brown, at the elementary school. She reviews bullying with classes, and she talks about calm down strategies with students starting in kindergarten. They just do a really great job with it. So I know the board's considering that proposition and support, and I think it's certainly meritorious. At the middle high school, in addition to the trip to DC, we have the Polka McCready trip that the grade 6 and 7 students will be returning to on October 13th and 14th. So that'll be a full day of team building activities for the students. Our civic-minded students participated in class officer elections over the past week. So we have a whole new slate of officers. And one of the focus areas for the district, as you may recall from our last meeting, is about student voice and student experience. And so we will be working with representatives from those class offices to be a part of those task forces where we look at ways that we can further embed student voice in the work that we do in the district. Our seniors are working hard on their capstone projects right now. You may recall over the summer, the discussion of the culminating experience that our students have as seniors, where it involves some partnership with a mentor in the community or in the school, and the pursuing of some sort of project that is based in their interests or their career interests. And so already some of the proposals that we're seeing from students are shadowing an elementary teacher, shadowing a wedding planner, writing and illustrating an online comic, measuring the air quality in the school, studying the plants in our school and around our school, impacting the air quality, creating packaging for our compost projects and selling the product, and making and selling flies for fly fishing. So it's always fun to see what the kids come up with, and it's a great project. And then on the athletic side of the house, as we gear up, it's hard to believe, but we are getting close to senior recognition nights. So girls soccer senior recognition is the 7th, boys soccer is the 17th, cross country is the 18th, and volleyball is the 20th. So lots of good things happening in the district, and wishing our students and staff in DC a safe trip home tomorrow, but very grateful that we have these opportunities for the kids.
So thank you very much. Any comments or questions?
Tim, I just want to say that I think whoever is in charge of our social media page, they do a really great job of posting the photos from Washington or the recent hikes. And I've had some different people in the community just mention that they really enjoy seeing those things. So whomever is in charge of that, you know, hats off, because I think it's great just to keep us up to date that way.
I agree. It is nice to see, and it's nice to see all the things that kids were doing before the pandemic, and they're back and they're implemented again, because there's a lot of sad years in between. So yeah.
No, it's
Karen,
it's
wanna
really
think
nice.
I have to say, only because Teresa sent them to
Okay.
me. So thank you, Teresa.
No, it's great. It's great.
Excellent. Okay, so moving on to information for the board, super eval. We all need to take it except for Colleen. And who's the other one, John?
Martha.
Martha. So the link is right there. I'm almost done. I have to do the general one. It's not too bad, depending on how wordy you are, I guess. You have more opinions than I do. It might be take you longer, but please make sure you fill that out. I do think that that will help us make sure that we're still all on the same page on the different items there. And we want to get that done by next meeting.
Yes.
Okay. So Karen will be sending out an email tomorrow reminding everyone when we awake from our wild night here in Wilmington.
Not you. Yeah, it's the other.
The other Colleen. Okay, that's what I was just saying.
That's what you take credit for.
Yeah.
I have to say in fairness that I don't respond to every one of them. So that is an option. So I think that's maybe why I've been through it a little quicker than other people. So.
Oh, don't sell yourself short, Colleen.
Well, I know, but still, I haven't responded on every opportunity. So there you have it.
And thank you, Colleen and Martha, for getting that done and putting the rest of us to shame.
Exactly. That was our mission.
The last person to do it has to be president next year. So the way we handle that.
Go home and do
Excellent. Okay. And then there is some information in there in executive content about calendar amendments and substitute teachers. So please review that. Okay, so that brings us to 5A, which is in the consent agenda. So moving on to personnel. The recommended action is to approve the items below, which are included in the personnel consent agenda. Excuse me. Item 6B, teaching assistant resignation. 6C, contract approval. Good grief, I'm having a hard time today. 6C, contract approval. 6D, teaching staff appointment. 6E, teaching staff appointment. 6F, long-term teaching staff appointment. 6G, food service helper appointment. And 6H, appointment of director of facilities. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Joan. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Colleen, too. Any comments, discussion, or withdrawals, withholdings, removals? No? Okay. Everyone will please vote.
Glad we could fill them all.
5 yes.
Okay, this will make sure that covers the whole personnel section there.
Again, congrats to Dave Mayberry for becoming our director of facilities and
Yes.
bringing some unity to our grounds crew and our buildings, our maintenance crew. Congrats to Amanda Blacksmith and to the board for formalizing a permanent appointment of math RTI at the elementary school level.
Yeah.
Colleen, I feel like Colleen, you should be celebrating. I know that that's been something near and dear to you for a long time, and Liam Kennelly, if whoever sees him next, you'll have to tell him too.
No, I'm excited, Tim. Thanks so much for really pushing that forward. We got halfway there a few years ago, but I couldn't be more excited for the children at the elementary school. I just think it's a wonderful thing for our district.
And our district social worker position, so timely. And when I arrived last year, was something that for years in future planning, the district had talked about as an absolute necessity. So congrats to Jessica Seymour for the permanent appointment to begin her probationary status in the district. That's just a boon to all of us. So great news here with regards to our hiring in the district.
Great. Okay, moving on to 7A is in the consent agenda, which brings us to 7B, the Anti-Bullying Proclamation. I'm going to attempt to read this. All right, recommend action upon the recommendation of the superintendent approve the attached Anti-Bullying Proclamation, which I will now read. Whereas bullying is the aggressive use of power targeting another person or group of people with repeated unwanted words or actions, hurting them emotionally or physically, and whereas bullying occurs in neighborhoods, playgrounds, schools, and online through technology, and whereas various researchers have concluded that bullying is the most common form of violence affecting millions of American children and adolescents annually, and whereas thousands of New York children and adolescents are affected by bullying annually, and whereas targets of bullying are at increased risk for depression, anxiety, sleep difficulties, lower academic achievement, and dropping out of school, and students who are repeatedly bullied often fear such activities as riding the bus, going to school, interacting online, and attending community activities. And whereas children who bully are at greater risk of engaging in more serious violent behaviors, and whereas children who witness bullying often feel less safe, helpless to stop it, and intimidated. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lake Placid Central School Board of Education proclaims October as National Bullying Prevention Month, and be it further resolved that the Lake Placid School, students, parents, recreation programs, religious institutions, businesses, and community organizations be encouraged to engage in a variety of awareness and prevention activities designed to make our community safer for all children and adolescents.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dan. Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Joe. Any discussion?
Says it all.
Set it over.
Do you like my new little thing that I
Yes,
put on
I
it? I have to go search those out. 5 yes.
Thank you. And I'll just say to be completely open, as a child who was bullied a lot in school, in a time when it was not addressed at the school level, I hope that in addition to our reading statements and a board meeting, that we'll follow this up with action throughout October and beyond, because I think this is something that is considered ubiquitous with the school experience, but does not need to be. All right, moving on to 7C, which is under the consent agenda. And then 7D is information, which is the special education there, information only. In executive content, you'll see that will be approved on our next board meeting on the 18th. And that brings us to 8A, which is our second for the good of the cause. Do we have any additional messages or emails? Okay. And then I think that you had forwarded the email from Julie to everyone.
I did,
Great, thank you.
yeah. And I did email her and I asked her if she would please make sure she emailed to LB District Clerk
Great,
so
perfect.
that I didn't miss it.
Excellent. All right, is anyone present would like to speak? Anyone?
Sorry, I don't know your name.
All right, so that takes us to 9A, linking goals with agenda items. I'll jump in on an easy one. Students first and foremost for the Anti-Bullying Proclamation. That's why I told you guys, you got to get on those students first and foremost ones really early on.
I would say Tim's report with, the 8th and 9th graders in Washington, DC, and, students first and foremost, and the experience that they get out of that.
And also with the other just daily trips that the students are taking, Dan, whether it to be to hike Seymour or Pocomacrady or any of the other things that I think it's kind of a package thing that we're really trying to give our students lots of opportunities.
Definitely.
And the kids do remember it. Our kids that have gone to the school district remember those specific trips.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, the only thing that I'm not happy about for the DC trip, my daughter is on it as 9th grader. But my dad decided to share with her pictures from my 5th grade trip to Washington, DC. So that was only mildly embarrassing. But,
Still being bullied.
yeah, still. I saw the pictures. I brought it myself. Anybody else? If you have any of those that you'd like to add, please send them to Karen. And that brings us to the adjournment phase of our meeting. So we'll have the next 3 dates there: October 18th, November 1st, November 15th. Those will all be at the Lake Placid School District offices.
We're gonna have them back.
Hey, Dan, are we switching back to 6 o'clock at the next meeting?
Not until after the cross-country season is done. So I think we have on Tuesdays.
November.
It goes for a while.
So probably the 1st of November meeting?
I think it's after that.
I think it may be even after that.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
They run for a long time,
They go.
not
really
just on the
late.
meets,
I was gonna say
almost
literally.
literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when we switch it back.
Okay.
All right, old agenda topics. New agenda topics. Great. All right, so that brings us to the recommended action of motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Well, I think Dan beat you by just a few seconds there, Colleen. So Dan, thank you. It was the delay in the signal, Colleen. You probably actually.
No.
All right,
Go ahead, vote.
there we go.
Sorry,
Dan, come on.
I know. I was
There it
a
is.
little delayed. I was a little
There it is.
delayed.
Thank you, Karen.
Mhm.
All right.
I'm almost there, but yes.
Let me vote for you.
Yes.
Yes, 5
I can
yes.
barely know.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone. We're done at 7:14 p.m.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Colleen.
Bye,
Feel
Colleen.
better.
Thank
And
you.
I left that in your wood box up there.
Yeah, I heard Miss Maple trying to get you,
Yeah.
I'm catching it for you.
but thanks for dropping that off, Karen.
Yeah, anytime.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to Wilmington.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wilmington, for hosting us.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's for Tim Baker.
Oh, please sign this.
Yes, thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
just letting you know in advance, this next meeting, I will
In
do.
October?
Yeah, I'm
Nice to meet you.
actually from Ireland the night
Okay,
before.
great. Well, thanks for
Oh, yeah.
visiting.